Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Monday, October 27th, 2025. So, with that, I thank everybody for being here today. So, of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Hopefully, everybody is having a good start to their week. So I'm going to do something here real quick here. All right. Of course, friendly reminder to everybody, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With all that being said, let's see. Well, we're now at 2 minutes here. So I did actually finish up watching some cartoons from January of 1942 today. Finish up, of course, Aloha Hui from Warner Brothers. Also saw another Disney wartime propaganda cartoon starring Donald Duck about paying your taxes to help the war effort. And now I guess we'll talk a little bit about what's on tap. So tonight I got one article I'm going to go over from Bounding into Comics, as it would appear that comic book shops are coming to life again with some of the newer stuff coming out, including Absolute DC, Ultimate Marvel, Energon Universe, and Invincible. So we'll be looking at that. Also, we'll be doing the wrestling wrap up as we will be, of course, looking back at this past weekend's events, including Friday Night SmackDown, as well as NXT had their Halloween Havoc event. We'll be looking at that. As there were actually, I believe there were 3 titles that changed hands on that show. Then we will also be looking at, we'll be looking at what happened on Saturday on AEW's Collision, looking ahead to tonight's Monday Night Raw, as well as taking a sneak peek, seeing any updates on this Saturday's tonight's main event. Anyways, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back, but I will put some music on while I'm gone. And I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Well, anyway, so why don't we go ahead and let's kind of get ready to get started here. And a friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. I'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started here on the one article we're going to do tonight. All right, so comic book stores coming back to life thanks to Absolute DC, Ultimate Marvel, Energon Universe, and Invincible, in smaller quotes there. Article by Spencer McCooley, published back on October 25th, which of course was this past Saturday. So let's see what's going on here. There you have, I guess, from the Ultimate Marvel universe, you have Peter and Mary Jane in each other's embrace here, which has been pretty much a welcomed thing, even despite what we heard the other day. So after the last 4 years proved to be an absolute worst for Western comic books for the Western comic book scene, with readership collapsing so catastrophically that many feared that the once vibrant industry was well and truly dead, recent and smaller quote leap of faith reboot initiatives like the Absolute DC, Ultimate Marvel, and Energon Universe lines, as well as renewed interest in Image's Invincible series, have miraculously led to a genuine uptick in not just overall sales, but also direct purchases from local comic shops. Yeah, the stuff, the kind of sidebars are actually doing better off than the mainstream stuff right now. While the ins and outs of just what led to the 2020s comic book implosion number so high that they could fill an article all their own, hell, a deep dive into Dark Crisis alone would make for an afternoon's worth of reading. The general situation was perhaps best summarized by Coliseum of Comics proprietor Phil Boyle, who in a November 2023 open letter to Marvel and DC submitted to both ICV2 and Bounding in the Comics decried fans, retailers, and creators have all suffered under the recent corporate mandates, unquote. Quote, where did it go off the rails? It's not such a conundrum to anyone with two active brain cells and a list of back issues they need to complete their runs. Comics, first and foremost, have always been entertainment. Sure, collectible entertainment, which justifies the cost to entertainment ratio. But along the way, the immediate sale and false bolstering of numbers through variant covers, convoluted events, and inconsistent reboots left the consideration of the fans behind. Basically, the idea is that fans do not want to read woke material. They'd rather read stuff that is more akin to what they grew up on, more traditional stuff, right? Quote, character swapping, gender bending, and changing sexual orientation of beloved characters fell flat with the Wednesday Warriors, who supported the industry for decades. Wednesday Warriors, I believe, are those who would go to their local comic book shops to get their comics. a crowd of new readers. The changes were meant to attract didn't translate to a one-for-one swap, leaving a declining customer base. Quote, to make things more difficult on the retail side, in a very deliberate abuse of both the final order cutoff system and retailers' goodwill toward publishers, we constantly have the FOC and issue 2 issues out rather than next issue. This makes ordering a guess. Throw in 4 covers on number 5, then 6 on number 6, one of which is by Art Germ, and another by Scotty Young. And then number 7 has 5 covers with neither cover artist. And number 8 has a celebrity appearance cover, and it's a constant and very deliberate shell game, forcing retailers to guess on nearly every issue, unquote. Yeah, quite honestly, I think most people want to read comics, read the stories. They don't care about all these different. I don't think a lot of people really care as much about all these different variants. It's kind of a little over the top ridiculous. There's the Invincible. Omni-Man tries to knock some Vitrumite pride into Mark in Invincible, Volume 1, Number 12. Quote, Perfect Strangers, Part 4, for Image Comics. Words by Robert Kirkman and art by Ryan Otley and Michael Crabtree. And though the industry genuinely teetered on the brink in 2023, it appears they took this wake-up call to heart, as a recent analysis of official sales data provided by ICV2 CEO Milton Gregg shows a significant boom in comic book interest across the past 2 decades. Quote, with sales in 2024 up 73% from 2019, and the trend is continuing into 2025. But perhaps more impressive was the fact that a significant and growing number of these sales were coming not from big box retailers like Target, Walmart, or Amazon, but rather actual comic book shops, as quote unquote dollar sales in comic shops went up by about 13.3% in 2024, while sales in the book channel, in brackets here, i.e., major retailers, dropped slightly, leading to the gap between the two narrowing for the first time in 15 to 20 years. Oh, and here looks like some Transformers comics here, it looks like. Soundwave right there. And Optimus Prime. Quote, the spread between graphic novels and comics narrowed in 2024 for the first time in years, another reversal of a long-time trend. While graphic novels still account for over 76% of dollar sales, graphic novel sales increased by only 1.3% year over year, while comics grew by 12.2%. Quote, 2025 is shaping up to be a good year for comic shops, with sales from January through August by stores using the Comic Hub POS system up 27% compared to the same period in 2024. That's double the 13.3% increase from 2023 to 2024. So basically, some of these alternate materials, are proving to be more successful than the mainstream stuff. So it's telling you that, the I think the readership, the fan base, is really telling you quite frankly what they want. It's just the corporates seem to keep ignoring them for any number of stupid reasons. The 2025 increases in graphic novel and comic sales were nearly identical, and the uptick was slightly higher in the first 4 months of the year at 29%, than in the May-August period when it was 25%. Quote, the back issue market also appears to be shifting from collectors to readers, with retailers reporting the sales of slabbed comics are down and sales of inexpensive reader copies are up, unquote. Reap also noted, according to personal interviews with a number of shop owners, this boom has also seen younger readers making their way to the local shops, is a significant departure from generations past. Quote, the reason for this is inexpensive, accessible, high quality content, unquote, said the CEO. They're buying absolute, but things like Marvel and DC and Marvel digest format books are also popular, unquote. At the end, friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions that's my ability. That goes for both my Rumble viewers and my YouTube viewers. Anyways. All right, so getting back to the all right, so to this end, Greep confirmed that graphic novel sales were also on the rise. The DC's Absolute line, Marvel's Ultimate Universe, Image's Invincible series, and Skybound's Energon universe, which currently features original characters alongside those from Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Masked, easily proving the hottest sellers. However, he also noted, quote, there is a problem, though, which is that the success is hampered by the fact that there's not always availability to comic stores of the graphic novels they want to get, unquote. Quote, and I think there's two reasons for that. One, obviously, the chaos in distribution that's been happening since the beginning of the year, and then also just the surprise that some publishers are experiencing in how well some of their books are selling. And so they're not necessarily prepared in terms of the amount of inventory they have available, unquote. Closing out his time, Greek beamed, quote, we've got a new world where comics are growing faster than graphic novels, unquote. Quote, comic stores are growing faster than the book channel. We've got growth from readers instead of just collectors. We've got younger comic consumers, which are all good signs for resurgent for resurgent for resurgence. Um, of course, manga is still pretty popular too, as well. Um, we've got new audiences coming in from sources like web novels and web. Dude, we've got manga as a force. We've got digital stirring. We've got distribution transforming, and the data flow rebuilding. That, to me, plus puts us in a totally different world than we were a year or 18 months ago, unquote. Looking towards the future, he ultimately challenged his peers. Quote, how do publishers nurture the kind of creativity that has created success like Invincible and Ultimate and the Ultimate line and the Absolute in particular, and build on that in the future by making good relationships with their creators, unquote. All right, so there we go with that one. That was the only story we were planning for tonight. I guess maybe let me go through here and see if I can find anything of. Actually, let me go off camera here for a moment. I do need to step away for a moment. I'll be right back. Music off. All right, I'm back. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a quick peek around, see if there's anything of. Actually, the bleeding. Well, those two comic stories we're going to push back tomorrow night, anyways. La dee dee da dee da, la dee dee da dee da, la dee dee. All right, so let's see now. Let me. Nothing there. All right, nothing there then. All right, so I think we will. Well, actually, I'm going to need to step away from the computer one more time here. I'll be right back. When I come back, we'll do the wrestling wrap up. Let me just go ahead and put some music on for you guys. Be right back. All right, so let's get ready. Let's go ahead and get going on the rest and wrap up. Look back to last. We start with, of course, last Friday's, this past Friday's SmackDown. We'll look, of course, ahead to also look back to Halloween Havoc. The NXT show. Some major stuff happened there. Collision, and then we'll look ahead to tonight's Monday Night Raw, as it will be the go home Raw before this weekend's Saturday night. The Saturday night event. We'll get caught up on what has been signed there thus far. That's great. We're gonna. All right. So looking back to Saturday night's this past Friday night SmackDown. The night opened up with a tag team match between Solo Sikoa's faction, My Family Tree, of JC Mateo and Tama Tonga, defeating Shinsuke Nakamura, Ray Fenix, and Shinsuke Nakamura in a tag team match. Of course, Solo Sikoa, Tala Tonga, and Tonga Loa all were in the corner of Mateo and Tama Tonga. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about the face paint that MFTs have decided to don now. Now, for those of you who didn't know, prior to signing with the WWE, Tama Tonga, Tala Tonga, and Tonga Loa, I believe, were all part of the Guerrillas of Destiny faction in Japan, and when they were still with New Japan, as they would wear the face paint then during that time as well. So Tiffany Stratton defeated Kiana James after the match, as of course Kiana James had Julie in her corner. After the match, Jade Cargill came out to help celebrate with Stratton, only to turn on her and thereby turning heel. Some people have said that this might be one of the better moves for them to do with Cargill, as her run as a face has just not gone over with the fans. Then we see that Ilya Dragunov has continued the open challenge, as the next person to answer the call of the open challenge, in this case, was Aleister Black with Zelina Vega, and in 15 minutes 42 seconds, Dragunov retained the United States title after having won it from Sami Zayn last week. Then in the main event, in a no DQ match, Drew McIntyre defeated Jimmy Uso, as he made a suggestion that it was Uso who was behind taking out Jacob Fatu last week, to get, as people were thinking it was Drew for. So that's all that happened on this past Friday night SmackDown. Let's see. So now, let's of course move ahead to Saturday. We're going to look first at Halloween Havoc. Oh, by the way, last night's or Friday night's SmackDown came from the Mullet Arena in Tempe, Arizona. And now Halloween Havoc on Saturday there with Booker T and Vic Joseph on commentary, came from the Findlay Toyota Center, Prescott Valley, Arizona. The opening match of the evening saw NXT's Javon Evans team with TNA X Division champion Leon Slater defeat the AAA duo of La Parca and Mr. Iguana. In a Day of the Dead match for the WE NXT North American Championship, Ethan Page retained over El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., and in the process tried to basically rip El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr.'s mask off. Try to rip his mask off, which is a major no-no in Mexico. Now, granted, this wasn't in Mexico, but still, the mask in Lucha Libre is sacrosanct. So, then in the match for the women's North American title, Zarya, who was defending the title for Sol Ruca, who injured herself and looks like will be out for a while. She defended the title against Blake Monroe. Blake Monroe, who defeated Sol Ruca, become the new women's North American champion. In a match for the NXT Women's Champion, JC Jane with of course her Fatal Influence stable mates in her corner, Fallon Henley and Laney Reed, defended the title against Tatum Paxley of the Calling, as Tatum Paxley would defeat JC Jane to become the new NXT Women's Champion. And then you had in a Broken Rules match for the NXT Tag Team title, the Broken Hardys of Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy would defend against Dark State's Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox, in which Dark State would defeat the Hardys. The main event saw Ricky Saints retain the NXT title over Trick Williams. So that's all that kind of went down. That's all that kind of went down on of course, on Saturday on Halloween Havoc. So now let's also take a look at what happened on Saturday on AEW's Collision. AEW's Collision, as soon as I go grab that. As more developments coming out from AEW's shows. As this past Saturday's Collision came from the Boeing Center at Tech Point in San Antonio, Texas, with Nigel McGuinness and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Show opened up with Pack of the Death Riders, with Daniel Garcia, Renee Shafir, and Wheeler Yuta in his corner, defeating New Japan Strong Openweight champion Tomohiro Ishii of the Conglomeration. Tekla defeated Mina Shirakawa in a one-on-one match. CMLL's Olympia defeated Tyra Valkyria of the M&M Collection TV faction, with, of course, Johnny TV, Mansoor, and Mason Madden in her corner. Ace Austin defeated Brian Keith in a one-on-one match. Hook, with Eddie Kingston in his corner, defeated Griff Garrison of the Frat House, with Cole Carter, Jack Jameson, and Preston Vance in his corner. In the main event, in the $400,000 8-man tag match, team of Jet Speed, a Speedball Mike Bailey, and the Jet Kevin Knight, teamed with Jurassic Express of Jack Perry and Luchasaurus to defeat FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler and the Young Bucks of Matt and Nick Jackson, with, of course, Stokely in their corner. So that's all that happened on Saturday. So now let's look ahead to tonight's Monday Night Raw, as this will be, of course, um, this will of course be tonight's Monday Night Raw will be the Go Home Raw. Be the Go Home Raw before this Saturday night's main event. We'll look at that as well. On tonight's Monday Night Raw, as soon as I grab that, scheduled coming from Anaheim, California, from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, on Netflix. Already scheduled for the evening. Nikki Bella will be taking on the Judgment Day's Roxanne Perez in a number one contendership match for the Intercontinental title. Penta will be taking on Rusev to see who will next challenge Dominic Mysterio for the title. And in a match for the Women's Tag Team Championship, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair will be defending against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, with more possible development on the whole Bayley multi-personality gimmick going on there. All right, so now let's look ahead to the Saturday night's main event. See if anything new has been signed as of yet for the Saturday night's main event. So the Saturday night's main event will be coming from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City on Peacock. One match was added. Tiffany Stratton will be defending the WWE Women's title against Jade Cargill after Jade Cargill turned heel on her this past Friday night on SmackDown. Obviously, as we previously mentioned, also signed Cody Rhodes will be defending the Undisputed title against Drew McIntyre. A match to fill the vacancy caused by Seth Rollins' injury. CM Punk is set to take on Jey Uso for the WWE World Heavyweight title, with more matches potentially to come, coming up on tonight's Raw. And tonight's Raw, you have NXT tomorrow night as well, and then of course NXT with the fallout from Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, and then Friday Night SmackDown. So with that, that's all we got for the wrestling wrap-up. So now what we're going to do, I think we will get ready to go ahead and, well, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about, as always, feel free to comment. If you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Goes for both my Rumble and my YouTube viewers. With that, we can see for a moment if there's anything comes up. If not, then we'll start to wrap things up by Hong Kong Phooey, number one super guy. Hong Kong Phooey, quicker than the human eye. Chee-chong, chee-chong, chee-wah, wah, wah. Hong Kong Phooey, that's terrific. All right. See, anybody want to ask anything about anime, cartoons, comics, pro wrestling, manga, anything? going to go off camera one more time here. And then when I come back, we'll probably just hit up this day in each history then. All right, I'm back. So, anyway, so now we're gonna go. So I guess now we will go ahead and we'll move on ahead here. Let me just take a quick peek here. Let's see, 2021. That one's from 2021. This one's from 2020, I believe, right? Yeah. And 2015. All right, so today is, of course, Monday, October 27th, 2020, 2025. So let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history. History! So first off, I'm going to head back 10 years ago. And on this date, 10 years ago today, back in 2015, there was sad news in the world of anime, as Japanese voice actress Sarah Yu, Miyu Matsuki, born Mieko Matsuki, passed away at the age of 38 from lymphoma. Let's see. Miyu Matsuki was a Japanese voice actress and singer from Kirie, Hiroshima. Best known for her work in anime, she was affiliated with 81 Produce at the time of her death. Now, among some of the characters she did in Japanese, let's see, notable works include she portrayed Izumi Sagi no Miya in Hayate, the Combat Butler. Kuko in Nyanko Crawling with Love, and Anna Nishiki Nomiya in Shimoneta. Let's see here. Matsuki announced on July 14, 2015 that she was undergoing treatment for acute pneumonia. She died on October 27th, 2015 in Tokyo from lymphoma caused by chronic active EBV infection. At the time of her death, she was cast as Charlotte Diamandis in the anime 100. Her scheduled and ongoing roles were taken over by Yui Horie, Yumi Kakazu, Reina Ueda, and Noriko Shitaya. A charity event in her honor was held on September 11, 2016 at the Science Museum Hall in Chiyoda Ward, Tokyo, Japan. The 39 Miyu-chan event organized by her friends and colleagues, had its proceeds go towards KBIB research and related medical causes. Yeah, she was 38 years old. She passed away at the age of 38. So with that, let's see. She also portrayed Shinobu Tsukimura in Magical Girl Lyrical Nanaho. Let's see. She was Aya Arai in the Onegai My Melody series. Again, these are her roles in the Japanese version. So 10 years ago today, passing of Japanese voice actress Miyu Matsuki. So now moving ahead to the year 2020. Moving ahead to the year 2020. Powerhouse Animation Studios' Blood of Zeus premiered on Netflix on this date back in 2020. Blood of Zeus, formerly known as Gods and Heroes, is an American adult animated fantasy action television series created and written by brothers Charlie and Blas Parnidis for Netflix. Produced by Powerhouse Animation Studios, animated by South Korean studios Mua Film and Honho Hangup. The first season premiered on October 27, 2020. So 5 years ago today, Blood of Zeus from Powerhouse Animation Studios premiered on Netflix on this date back in 2020. And moving ahead to the year 2021, 4 years ago today, on this date in the year 2021, the fifth issue of Black Hammer Reborn from Dark Horse went on sale on this date back in the year 2021, 4 years ago. It sold for $3.99, was 28 pages. This series ran for 21 issues, so it actually lasted into 2 years here. So on this date, 4 years ago today, the fifth issue of Black Hammer Reborn went on sale from Dark Horse Comics on this date back in 2021. All right, so there we go with that one. So I thank everybody for being here. So of course we'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow. Also, I'll be joined this Sunday by Rick Piper from Cross Comics. We'll be taking another look down Comics History Lane. We'll be continuing our look at comics that went on sale in July of 1940s. We started this last night with DC. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale from what was known then as Timely Comics, known now as Marvel. So with that, I thank you all for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.